Hello class, welcome to lesson 2.2 where we deal with the metric system and le système international de units, where we're going to learn how to take measurements and deal with them mathematically in a way that makes sense. So, the international system of units, we call it the metric system here, is usually referred to SI. So I will be talking about SI units. And it's a wonderful way for us to communicate internationally, okay, with other scientists around the world, because we can do big things when we work together, you know. So the system is based on units of 10, and you've learned that before, and we're kind of used to it. And last class we tried to convert minutes to seconds and seconds to minutes, and we can do it, but it's awkward, okay? And dealing with SI units is easy and smart. So here are some examples of units, okay? We've got things like degrees Kelvin, degrees Celsius, a coulomb. So we learned about coulombs back in Science 9, and amps and volts. And there are some other ones as well that we are used to working with. Okay, meters, grams, etc. Okay. So that is a helpful list to keep. And there are other ones that we don't use very often, but things like the meter, we use that a lot, or liters. That's a very common one as well, okay, especially for chemistry. And so we have to get used to a system where we can use different amounts of that unit, okay, using the metric system. So things like grams, we can also use kilograms, or micrograms if we're dealing with something very small. Temperature, things like degrees Celsius, degrees Kelvin. Okay, I know there are other ways of measuring temperature, like degrees Fahrenheit, but it's just not as cool, and it's just not as easy to work with. Okay. So there are also prefixes that we use when we are dealing with this system. Okay. So there are things like kilograms, megameters, there are centiliters and milliliters, okay, and these are all prefixes that we can use to denote bigger or smaller amounts of that unit, okay. There are also some important ones that we use a lot of. So things like milliliters. We should understand that a milliliter is the same as a cubic centimeter. Okay, so a dirt bike might have its motor size measured in cubic centimeters, or cc's. Okay, and 100 cc's is the same as 100 milliliters. Okay, a cubic meter is equal to 10 to the 3 liters, or 1,000 liters. And 1 metric ton is equal to 1,000 kilograms. Okay, so those are some important ones to keep in mind as well. All right. Practice problems. Okay, so this is a short lesson, and what we want to do is we want to be able to use this chart that we've got and you have in your handout to become proficient with using the metric system. Okay, so there are terms we need to know, like prefix and unit symbols and exponential equivalence. So let's try that. Rewrite 5 kilograms using a prefix and unit symbols, and also as an exponential equivalent. Okay, now I know that sounds complicated, but you've done things like this since you were wee little scientists, and now you're all grown up. Okay, so 5 kilograms So our base unit then is grams, and we are dealing with kilograms. Okay, so if we are using the prefix and unit symbol, the prefix symbol will be K, and the symbol for grams is G. Okay, so as a prefix and unit symbol, we would write 5 kg. And now as an exponential equivalent. Okay, so we've got a chart that we've used similar to this in physics, and some of you are in chemistry and in physics. For chemistry, it is actually helpful to use negative exponents here and then relate everything to the base unit. So I'm sorry that you're using kind of two different systems, but depending on the situation, this chart works better for things like chemistry. Okay, it's the same idea, the math is very similar. Okay, so 5 kilograms, what's the exponential equivalent in the base unit, grams? Well, kilo is 10 to the 3. So this is going to be 5 times 10 to the 3 grams. Okay, so 5 kilograms, kilo means 10 to the 3. Our base unit is grams, and it is 5 times 10 to the 3 grams. Okay, next one. Rewrite 2ms using a written prefix and unit, and also as an exponential equivalent. Oh boy. Well, ms is, let's see, m, milli, and s, you can look at the other chart that has the different SI units, that's seconds. So it would appear this is milliseconds. And what do you know? We are correct. And now we want an exponential equivalent. So milli in this chart is 10 to the negative 3. And so it is going to be 2 times 10 to the negative 3 seconds. Okay, so sometimes the homework questions are going to be asking for a written prefix and unit, and that looks like this. Okay, I wrote out the prefix and I wrote out the unit. Okay, and sometimes, like the last question, it's going to ask for the prefix and unit symbol, which would look like this. Okay, megameters. Okay, mm. Okay, or kilograms, kg. Let's try another one. Rewrite 2.7 times 10 to the negative 2 meters using a written prefix and unit. And also as a prefix symbol, what in the whole world? Well, okay, we want a written prefix and symbol, so we are going to rewrite, or we're going to write out the prefix. It's going to be one of these. And we're going to write out the unit. So instead of m, it will be meter. So 10 to the negative 2 is way down here in the chart. That is centimeters. So 2.7 centimeters, like that. Okay. And we also want the prefix symbol. Okay, prefix symbol, so that is going to be C and M. 2.7 cm. Yeah? So, that's a short lesson. This is stuff you learned way back in middle school. And so I'd like you to work on these, page 19, page 21, these questions, and one question from page 22. So page 22 is going to seem a wee bit more complex. It's going to involve some of the stuff you learned last class, converting units as well. But you guys are super smart, and you can do it. So, have a great class.